Hello and welcome to the Celtic Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me tonight is John. How are you, John?
I'm very well, Jared. I'm good. I'm just preparing myself to head off to the Black Sea front. So, we'll be off to Ukraine very shortly. So enjoy Celtic as much as you can.
Here we go. Yeah.
Here we
I was going to talk about, if anyone watching on YouTube channel or anything, John's shirt, like that's just like an amazing shirt, very floral.
It is.
But,
Yeah,
you want to talk about potential World War III, so good fun.
Well, I might as well, lean into my femininity just now whilst it's going to be hyper masculine in the Ukrainian fronts.
Yeah, good fun. Anyway, just wanted to let everyone know that Sydney CSC, they've got an upcoming, boat cruise, isn't it, John?
Yeah. So the boat cruise is March 12th, I think it is, or sometime in March. And guests are welcome. So I think it's just like another $20 or something like that. So if you've got, if you just want to turn up yourself, even if you're not a member, you don't have to know a member. Just get in touch with Sydney City CSC. But if you're a member, it's like $20 or $12. It's pretty cheap, so it should be a good day out. I'm unfortunately out in Broken Hill, which is very annoying. But I think anybody who can go should go.
Nothing wrong with Broken Hill. It's great.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with Broken Hill, but it is in the middle of nowhere. So, and there's certainly not a boat cruise out there.
Plenty of pubs, plenty of street fights, and drinking alcohol out of brown paper bags. Perfect, happy days.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much, that's it. Not pretty much my Saturday night anyway.
Know exactly what it's like.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know where Broken Hill is, it's in the absolute middle of Australia. It's very much in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, pretty much. It's borderline. They're basically one of the last main towns in New South Wales before you go into the desert.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and it's the desert I'm going to, so there we are.
Have fun. Make sure you take your sunblock, Johnny boy, and we'll get on with it. So
thanks very much.
Before we start, everyone, thanks to everyone who has subscribed already to our podcast on our YouTube channel and also in the podcast app. We really appreciate that. If you're listening in and you haven't done so, please subscribe. Help us grow the Celtic Down Under podcast because we appreciate everyone who tunes in. Also, we've got our Facebook group, Celtic Down Under. We've got a Facebook page. We've got the Instagram page, which doesn't really get used much other than for sharing our podcasts on there, but that's at Celtic Down, as you can see on the screen, and also on Twitter, same at Celtic Down. We're going to have a new writer starting up for our website soon, so www.celticdownunder.com. Check that out, and we'll crack on to the actual podcast. So we had since our last pod, first game we played was Celtic 1, Bodo Glimt 3 in the Conference League. Starting lineup for Celtic, Joe Hart in goals, Juranovic at right back, Carter Vickers and Starfelt at centre backs, Greg Taylor at left back, McGregor, O'Reilly and Rogic in the midfield, Abada, Jota and Maeda as up front. What was your thoughts on the game, John?
Oh, we started so well. The podcast started so good, so positive. The word that sums up that game for me was just embarrassing, to be honest. I was, as you know, absolutely raging after that result. I actually turned it off at 2-0 and eventually just watched it back a couple of days later. But there's so much to talk about that game and talk about Celtic fans' reactions and the Conference League in general. And we really could spend an entire podcast on it. But I think the reason why my reaction was so much of disappointment was the way that I feel about the Conference League is I realistically see that as a competition that we could probably win. And that would be, for me, some European success that we haven't had in a very long time. And we probably won't have again, or the opportunity again, for quite a long time. And there's reasons for that. Obviously, now that, Scottish football has 2 teams that could go into the Champions League going forward eventually. And then as you sort of drop down in the tables and the competitions and stuff, it moves into Europa and the Conference League and stuff. we Celtic will probably not have another opportunity to be in the Conference League. If we're going to be in the Champions League and we drop out, it'll be into the Europa most likely, right? So that this for me was an actual opportunity to have some European glory again. And I fundamentally disagree that it's a Mickey Mouse competition. We've had, it's just a new competition. I've never had it, but we've had 3 European competitions before, all had some sort of prestige to them. And for me personally, look, I think we can all honestly say that we're just not going to be winning the Champions League anytime soon. I think I think we can all be honest and realistic there. For me personally, we're not going to be winning the Europa League for the next probably half a decade. It's just not going to happen. We need consistent investment in Scottish football and the Celtic team to actually realistically compete towards the end of the Europa League. Get towards the end of Europa League and it's as tough as the Champions League. It just is. So this was actually, and with all of Celtic's European success, for some of us to go, I didn't want to win it anyway. I'm glad now we can just concentrate on the league. I just think me personally, I just think it's a really bad attitude to have. I want to win every single competition that I'm in. I want Celtic to play well, and every single game we play well. Even if we are on an off game, I at least want our players to turn up and try hard. And I think this game really summed up a team and a group of men who just thought we were going to win it by default. And that's how it came across in the entire game. And we got embarrassed really early on. The football that they played just embarrassed our defense immediately with that sort of, passing around our defense, and just scoring that early goal. Yes, okay, I absolutely accept that. Probably after that, we dominated the game as far as possession goes for 50 minutes, but we never really turned it into anything. And for a team to score 3 goals away at a place like Celtic Park is just not good enough. It's just not good enough. So yeah, we could probably single out individuals.
Which we will do when I start talking, John.
Yeah, we absolutely look, and exactly. So we'll probably go through that, but I think as an overall team, I think we just really, really walked into that thinking that it was a given. That's how it came across, or either that they just didn't care. That's what it came across as. And I think both are really bad mentalities to walk into a game like that. We should be beating a team like Bodo Glimt, as good as they are, as good as they were. And that really is a prototype of what, and I think you were saying this, Jared, when you were on Axom, or somebody was recently, that is the prototype of what Celtic should be playing at. And we should be actually at a better caliber because we're in a better league. We have exposure to better opposition, and we should have better players. But we were really shown up in that game. They were very, very well drilled. And I think some of the reaction of Celtic fans afterwards, as I've said, was really bad. And I won't read out who said this because I think that's just there's no point in doing that. But this was a comment I saw on a Facebook forum, which I'll just sum up as it was a complete criticism of Ange and his tactics. I don't get this. In his 50s, gem of a manager, apparently, strangely never picked up by a European team, one-trick pony with no plan B. Did you see Newcastle today? Eddie Howe is transforming the team. The best Newcastle team I've seen in years. That's why we wanted him. He would have wiped the floor with Sefco. That's utter, absolute nonsense. What does Ange have to do to convince Celtic fans that he turned up? He wanted to win that game. That was, with the players that we had, arguably our strongest team, or at least one of them. At least one formation of our strongest team we could. It would have absolutely nothing to do with Ange and his mentality. All to do with the players on the pitch. So
I've got to respond to that, John, because
the
simple facts, people like that who talk about, Eddie Howe this and Newcastle's going well and that, okay? Let's be straight up. Eddie Howe had almost 3 months to come to Celtic. He bitched up and ran away. Did not want to come here because apparently his backroom staff couldn't come with him. So Ange got on a plane from Japan, flew halfway across the world, didn't bring any support staff with him, and has basically shown with the way he addresses the media, the way he talks, what he's building, that he's the right man for the job. And there's always going to be one absolute knuckle dragger in the comment section. We all always know that. But
Mm,
that sort of comment, whoever says that, you don't know football. Sit in the corner and
mhm.
shut up. That's all I've got to say. Like, that sort of
Absolutely.
person's got no idea. And it's not constructive. And that's the sort of stuff that we went through last year with Neil Lennon in charge. That had Celtic fan turning on Celtic fan, the fans turning on the board, and the fans turning on the players and everything. It made it such a toxic environment, and we're on such an upward trajectory that we do not need that sort of negativity and that sort of thing there over one game. You're kidding me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Look, for what
and
Andrew's
I'm
done, and the fact that he even has repeated that this is a rebuild season, and to be where we're at on a rebuild season, um, luxury doesn't even begin to describe how privileged and stuff we are as Celtic fans to be in this position and stuff. He's been an absolutely fantastic appointment, but for me, unfortunately, that was one comment among many that shared similar thoughts and opinions. And I just find that bizarre because if Ange came into that game and he played fringe players and he played youth players from the B team and stuff, I could probably see that argument. Well, not that argument. I could see an argument that Ange didn't really care about the competition at all, but he did. It was the players on the pitch, the fans as well. The fans turned up. That was a full stadium and they were singing their hearts out. And we wanted to win it, which is why it completely blows out the argument of this being a Mickey Mouse competition, because it just isn't. It's a Mickey Mouse competition now because we're all probably resigned into the fact that we're not going to win this tie. If we
I don't
if we
agree.
got through, okay, fair enough. That's probably my interpretation. But if we were through to the finals or to the latter stages, we would not be calling this a Mickey Mouse competition.
Exactly.
Uh, it's
But
it's far from. It's a chance at a little bit of European success where we're probably not going to get some again, realistically, for probably half a decade, if not more.
yep. So why I went so hard on that whole Ange thing, and it's not because he's Australian, it's because, as we're saying, we're building something. And
Yeah, yeah,
that's the key thing. I'm going to put that in the comment. Now, Damo, g'day, mate, in the comments, and g'day, Paddy, also in the comments there. But yeah, the whole Bodo aren't no slouches. They're a class side, is what Damo has said. Now, he's right. But normally you look at the stats after a game, right? And you look at, if you looked at a game here going, the score was 3-1, and you look at it going 16 shots, 6 on target, 63% possession, 270 more passes, 12 corners to nothing in our favor, right? You look at all that sort of stuff to 7 shots, 4 on target. You'd think we'd be the team winning 3-1. So
yeah,
it's a game of fine margins. That's the easiest way to sum this game up. Now, what I said when I was on Axom, and I'm going to say it again now for this podcast as well, is Bodo Glimt are probably 2 to 3 years ahead of where we are in terms of playing this high press. They made our guys look second rate in terms of they suckered us in and forced us to press in certain areas of the pitch that they knew once they beat that press, that midfield would be wide open. And that's what the biggest issue for me in this game was. The midfield was non-existent, which in turn led to their first goal. Taylor
I
comes
think we might
running
just be
long.
losing you a bit there, Jared.
Okay, is this better?
I think the point that you were bringing up was that Bodo Glimt are 2 or 3 years ahead of where Celtic is, and really that's the prototype of where we want to be building towards, which I absolutely agree with, and I think that's where Ange is trying to grow Celtic.
So it's John who's just dropped out. So that's where the issue was. So, yeah, what I was saying is Taylor comes up because there's no midfield, and that's how we get caught out for the first goal. For the second goal, it was just rubbish defense. Really clever flick on. And then when you look at the third goal, unfortunately it was a deflection. So if Kel McGregor is hitting that deflection, gets that deflection, nothing Joe Hart can do, nothing the defense can do there. So, like, I don't know. I just find it really interesting with what's happened. But what we can do, anyone in the comments who wants to join in, while we wait for John to get back on. So, Damo, you've said they're a counter-attacking side, exactly, and that's how they tore us apart. And yeah, we need to bench Starfelt and Taylor, is what you've said. I would agree with Taylor, not Starfelt, because him and let's see if Johnny's back. But Starfelt and Taylor, Starfelt and Carter Vickers have got a good thing going on there.
Hopefully everybody can see me. If Jared
Johnny,
joining us shortly.
John, I'm back.
Here.
It was you who dropped out, mate. So I've just kept the show going while you're on there, going through the comments. So we'll just pick it up from where we were. You all right? All right. So with the Glimt game, yeah, they pressed us well. I think overall we're still a chance. It's only half time in the tie. So yeah, I think it'll be okay. I think it's still winnable, but we'll talk about that a bit more later as well. All right, guys, we'll come back in a couple of moments. Just bear with us. All right, guys, while we wait for John to come back, I'll get into the comments that have come through. So we had Damien is like, I reckon we score early tomorrow. We can take them. I agree 100% on that. Vital Celtic News, they isolated Abada by forcing to play down Jota's side and then doubled up on Jota. Exactly. Up the Dortmund from Damo. We're capable of beating Bodo in Norway if we get early goals. Correct. Edward has put 3 degrees Celsius expected in Bodo. Yeah, it'll be a bit cold. We'll talk about that a bit later on. And Paul, we'll talk about your one that you put in the comments a bit later on when we preview. So John's back.
What the hell happened?
You're having dropout issues, mate.
We've been having really, really bad storms in Sydney for the past, week and a half. So I think there's something going on with that. Sorry about that, guys.
All good. So, yeah, realistically, all I was saying is we've gone through some of the comments. I think that best option for us, John, because where we're at with the pod, we've gone through that game. There's no point rehashing it all. Everyone pretty much knows where we're at. It's half time. And when we talk about previewing the game later on, I still think we're a shot. As Damo said in the comments earlier, score early goals, it's game on.
Oh, God, I wish I had your guys' optimism. 3 goals. Look, if we do it, I'm happy to be proven wrong. But yeah, might even put a bet on that because that's worth it both ways.
Well, look at it this way. At least it's not away goals, because if it was still away goals, it'd be 6 goals.
Yeah, Yeah.
So we'd need at least 5.
Yeah.
So on aggregate.
Hey, look,
So at
3
least we
goals
don't
away.
have
Yeah.
away goals anymore.
Yes, I absolutely agree. We'll have to bloody turn up though, because we only managed to score 1 against them. So
Thing is, we
you're
had
right though.
enough
Half time.
chances. That's the thing. We had enough chances. We could have scored 3 or 4 in the first half last week. We didn't, and then they took their opportunities. So I
Yeah.
still think it's all there to play for. I don't think for a second that it's going to be a simple, straightforward game. But we'll preview that now, and then we'll review the Dundee game if you want, John. Since we're talking about it, what do you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, happy to do that.
So Paul's put a comment here. Says, do you think we should have taken the opportunity to train in Norway? Apparently, we turned it down. Now, going into the game, I got a quote from some newspaper. I can't remember which one it was, but it was the Hoops could face snow, thunderstorms, 50-mile-an-hour gales, and sleet rain when they take on Bodo Glimt the second leg. Now, one of the Bodo players and Stefan Johansson have also come out and said that they think this tie is far from over and Celtic's a good chance to win it. So I think we're a chance as well, even though it's on a plastic pitch. They've been training in Spain for the last how long? Last month, right? Then they come to Glasgow and play us. To then go back there to 3 degrees Celsius and playing in the snow and everything. I think it's going to be a shock to the system as much as it's going to be to us. And by not training on the pitch, yeah, it could be an issue. But I still think because there's enough plastic pitches in Scotland that we've played on over the years, we should be okay. What's your take, John, going into the game?
Well, like I said, I'm naturally fairly pessimistic with most things, I guess. So I think it's going to be. Look, I think it's going to be a fantastic night if we manage to put 3 away, and also not concede. I think some guys have pointed it out in the comments that it is a very, very well drilled team. They know exactly what they're doing, although they might not be of the caliber that we think they might be. Well, I mean, you could probably argue that they probably are. They're just not been scouted well, but everybody knows what they're doing. Their phases of football is very, very good. So, even when they're not in possession, they move quite well. I think it's going to be a tough one. I really, really do. I don't think it's going to be a straight. We're going to go away and score 3 goals, even if we score early and not concede. So fingers crossed that we do end up getting, the right aggregate and stuff. But yeah, hey, look, I think it's going to be a tough game. So fingers crossed. Like I say, it'd be good to put a bet on, just to, So if you do get it, then it's good, fantastic both ways. It's Celtic win and you get a dosh in. But
what score prediction are you thinking then?
I mean, look, if I hand on heart, I think it'll be something like a 2-2. Or I think it'd be a really solid draw. I would even probably say that I could, maybe 3-2, 4-2. But I just think it's going to be very difficult to do what we all are hoping to do. We struggled to finish chances that we had. We just don't have that clinicalness that you might say if you had a Kyogo up front. Or, I mean, look, we can even argue that maybe Giakoumakis is coming into a form that you really expect him to. But I know Liam's not on the pod, but I personally still think Maeda's a little bit off what we would hope he was at. Or actually, to be fair, what we need him to be at, because for him, he's come to Scotland, from Japan. He's still probably settling in and all of that stuff. So it might be unfair to put too much on him at this point. And Liam has said, and lots of other people say he's a very good standard of player. So, and we can all see that he's a good standard of player as well. Like he's not like some of the other strikers that we've signed or wingers, and they've just not really. You can kind of tell straight away they're never going to cut it. You can tell he's going to get there, but he's not quite where we want him to be right now. So hopefully Giakoumakis is there. Hopefully Giakoumakis starts. But yeah, what we really need is a Kyogo in that game, because that's the type of striker that would have just ripped them apart, I think.
What you're saying about Maeda makes sense, but not for the reasons you've said it. Lachlan is adjusting for me.
Fair enough.
I think, in my point of view, is the reason Hatate has been hit and miss and Maeda has been hit and miss as well is because they've just played a full season and then they've come to Glasgow. So people are thinking, oh, we're signing these guys. These are some new signings. Why are they hit and miss? But at the end of the day, this is like an extension of a season. So I think we'll see a better quality of player out of these guys in particular once they get a break and we win the league, go straight in the Champions League, and they get a bit of a break. Perfect. But at the moment, I'm giving them leeway for that reason.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really fair comment. To be honest, they really haven't had a proper break yet. Hey, look, I mean, how do you feel about and this kind of goes into the Dundee game and stuff, but how do you feel about Maida on the wing rather than straight up front? I think it kind of suits how he wants to run at defenders. He might even be better at if he was 1 or 2, like a partnership up front as well.
That's how
I'm
he
not
played
sure.
in Japan. He was playing off the left, coming back in.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would say that that's where he's more comfortable, to be honest, because I would say that he's been. This is just me, how I'm interpreting how he's been playing, but I would say he's been playing as a poacher type forward or centre forward, whereas really, he's got all that speed and he wants to be running facing goal rather than his back. Although he's not doing that poorly at all, he's just not quite clinical. I mean, we're talking about tiny little details, and I just think something will snap at some point with him, and he'll be absolutely unreal. I do believe that. It's just right now we kind of needed that to happen a couple of weeks ago.
I've got a funny one for you, John. What I see will happen: Kyogo will come back in at centre forward. He'll go out to the left. Jota could move over to the right.
I think that could really work. But
football right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's not bad to have those options as well, because Abada is, I also think he's going to be an absolute player. Still very, very young. And I mean, he has hot and cold moments as well. But when it's good, that guy is just lightning, to be honest. So it's good to have those problems.
Yeah. So Damo in the comments, he's gone, Maeda is going to be brilliant. I prefer him up front. He's not getting the right delivery, to be honest.
Quite possibly. Yep. I think it could be a case of the delivery. Yep.
So back to the preview of the Glint game quickly. For me, I'm looking at it going, realistically, with their goalkeeper being out and with what the saves he made against us, and then you've got us going in there hungry with the kick up the arse we needed. Like you got Paul in the comment who said he's on 2-2 extra time and maybe penalties, but that won't work on aggregate for extra time. So we rule that one out. For me, I'm saying at the start of the season, I said Ange would rather win 5-4 than a 1-0, right? And like I said, we go there and we win 4-1 and it becomes a 5-4. We got to get that early goal that Damo was talking about. I haven't been drinking. I'm not like, I'm not just, I'm just saying it because why not? We can dream, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Yes. Like, hey, I truly, truly believe that happens. I do. That'd be entertaining to watch for sure, and that's what Ange's all about.
I'd love to see the odds I'd get on that. But anyway, we'll move along to the Dundee game. So Celtic 3, Dundee 2. We had a starting lineup of Hart in goals, Ralston at right back, Carter Vickers and Starfelt at centre back, Juranovic at left back, O'Reilly, McGregor, Hatade in the midfield, Jota, Giakoumakis, and Maeda up front. So that's that lineup where I said before about Maeda playing left, Jota playing right. We had Giakoumakis up front, gets a perfect hat trick. One with the right, one with the left, one with the head. Happy days. I'll just quickly have my piece to say on their first goal was soft. Like, ball comes in from a corner right across the 6-yard box. Where's the centre back on the 6-yard box putting his head on that to clear it? That is what the biggest issue was, because they had 2 guys against 1 guy at the back post. Like, the defender there couldn't do anything about that. But we need someone on that 6-yard box, big bastard, just putting his head on the ball and just clearing it away. Pretty simple, right? Basic centre back football. The stats for this game were pretty one-sided. 19 shots, 6 on target. 82% possession to us. They had 190 passes. We had 794, so we had 604 more passes than them.
Mad.
And 11 corners to 2. Best part of this, other than Giakoumakis coming in, batting in a bunch of goals, was the fact that Rangers also dropped points. So now we're 3 points clear on top. You're guilty. Happy days.
What a swing that is, by the way. What I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but before Christmas we were 4 points behind, and now
Boxing Day was not. I think it's 7 or 9 point swing.
good God, that is
Crazy.
some doing. But Ange is a one trick pony apparently.
And apparently we run the league and changed everything.
Yeah, the conspiracies again. Yeah, well, which Celtic fans are guilty of going on about as well. But it's even funnier when it's been heavily established that those in power are all of the other persuasion and all doing secret handshakes and stuff. But everyone's out to benefit Celtic apparently.
Yeah, exactly. So the best. So you got any other things you want to add about the game? Like for me, I like Juranovic playing for us. I'd rather him at right back, but the thing that I didn't touch on earlier because technical difficulties, I lost my train of thought. Then I was just reminded Taylor is good enough at domestic level. In Europe,
Absolutely.
we need a Juranovic to play left back. That's what we need.
Absolutely.
In Europe, Juranovic at right back, and we've got to upgrade left back next off season. But Taylor and Ralston are good enough for us. But I just wanted to bring that up while I remember.
I mean, that has happened in Celtic's history and stuff. It's recent history and I'm thinking of people like Johnny Hayes and maybe when Izagiri came back for the second stint, where we've had players come in, they've done us a job, they're at a pretty good standard, and they work for the domestic scene because we need to rotate a lot. I think Taylor is even a little step ahead of all of those. I think Taylor can have some fantastic games, and he really contributes. He seems to have responded to Ange's system quite well. But you're absolutely right. I can't disagree. European scene, he's just not quite there. And there's a few players like that as well, I think. Depending on where
Tom Rogic, same issue.
Yeah,
I'd rather in that role play O'Reilly or push McGregor forward and put someone else in than play Rogic, especially away like we're going to have on like against Glimt. Like I don't see plastic pitch. Rogic doesn't like them very much at the best of times, but I'd rather you can't have like Turnbull and Rogic didn't work together. O'Reilly and Rogic didn't work together. I think he's one in Europe where sometimes you need that. I'd rather have Bitton play and push Kelmack forward, and then that releases O'Reilly into the 10. So I'd rather that. Then I think Rogic is one who's going to struggle.
And it's a hard one if you're the decision maker, because when Rogic is doing so well on the domestic level and you have a European game, it's really hard to justify not sticking him in the team. But you're not wrong. I think it's just a fact of the type of player he is. And I think it's the type of European football. I think Scottish football is very, very unique, and I think Rogic suits that system. Whereas, if you look at the other side of Glasgow and stuff, they seem to do dramatically better in Europe than they do domestically, especially of recent times. And that's probably because the type of players and the system that they play is more suited to a European scene. Rogic doesn't really fit into that European scene, but he certainly makes it into a very good level domestically. So, hey, look, the only other thing I wanted to say about the Dundee game is yet again, set pieces have destroyed the defense. Again, some other posts saying bottom of the league, better than the defense at the top of the league. I think that's a little bit far, but fair interpretation. Bottom of the league are better with set pieces than the top of the league. This has been a problem since Ange just came, and I can only hope Ange sees it and fixes it. And I kind of agree with the sentiment of comments like that, but maybe not necessarily the entirety of it.
Here we go again.
Yeah, I think we've known set pieces have been a problem before Ange. That's a historical problem.
When Rodgers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was going to say
the last time we were good at set pieces was when Ronnie was in charge, and we had what's his name, Denier and Virgil as their centre back
Yeah.
pairing. They
Yeah.
owned the defensive box and they were a target going forward. We haven't
Look,
had that since.
yes, since Dyler, I absolutely agree. And I'm just not astute enough in the tactics of football to understand what's going wrong. Whether it's man marking or zonal marking, or we're not defending as a team, or if it's the height
Team
of our
combinations,
defenders.
John. That's what it is.
Oh, I think it has to be. And if it's the coaching, if it's the training, if it's there's got to be. And I, you can tell me if I'm wrong here, Jared, but I am just probably quite aware of that being a weakness in our team, and he is
He'd be
probably
ripping his
starting.
hair out and abusing the living shit out of everyone.
My Christ, yeah, like he will be already trying to get some Australian, I don't know, coaches in, or I don't know, some Japanese physios or whatever, the sports site and all that stuff, because he'll be able to see where we need immediate fixes, and that is a really big one. And a team like Dundee should not be scoring 2 on set pieces against us. That should be a clean sheet. They're awful goals to concede. But look,
I will
Jack
give credit
Mackis,
where
bit of
it's due,
form.
John, on that. In that, I didn't see the pile on Kennedy after this weekend's game, and that he's our defensive coach.
Yeah,
We should be doing better, like we've seen over the last couple of years. Like the
I agree.
pylon's not going on him, so that is good to see. It shows that we are kind of coming up with new material as Celtic fans. However, the thing with the set pieces that annoys me is, so I was talking about, we went back to Virgil and Denier, and that was okay. We've had lineups like even last season, we had 6'7" Chris Julian next to 6'5" Chris Iyer, and we'd still concede from corners.
Yeah,
Like, look at like that. We have Shane Duffy out there who's 6'4" or whatever. We've had size out there, guys who can score a header and defend it, and we still had the same issues. So it's not just a this year thing. Strange Love the Doctor in the comments, set pieces, keep it simple, just get on the end of the ball. Exactly. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. Ball's there, head of the ball, clear it.
yeah,
Pretty damn
yeah.
simple.
And it is that simple. I just don't understand why it's not working for us. It should be that simple. I think maybe we're trying to defend the player. This sounds stupid, but defend the player too much. I see, and not actually watch the ball and defend the ball. I've seen that a couple of times. I'm thinking of Taylor, Ralston, Starfelt. Even maybe some of our midfield players. We're not really paying attention to where the ball is to an extent. And you're right, it should just be a case of watch the ball and just nut it away, but we don't really do that. I don't know. That needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Anyway, so off the back of the win, because it didn't go our way, like we got the win. It wasn't ideal way to win it, but we had Georges Giacomakis get asked some questions, and I'm going to read what he said because it's absolute brilliant. However, you can guarantee going into the next derby that this is going to be printed off and stuck all over the locker room at Ibrox. So after his hat trick, he didn't hold back, giving his thoughts. He said, "Of course, it's something that gives us bigger motivation, but sometimes it also gives you a little bit of pressure if you know the bad result of your opponents. So we showed that we're the better team. That's obvious. We showed that we work harder on the field, and I think that we'll win the championship. It's something that we definitely want for us, for the club, and for the fans. We have a very strong squad. Every single player can be in the first 11 and make a difference to help the team. So I think that we work a lot. We work hard every day at the training center, and we show that in the games. So I think with this hard work, we can achieve many things. The squad is really good. I think it's the best in the league. I think we're well prepared for every single game. We have a very good plan, and we try to stay committed. I think we're better in every single part of the team." Mic drop. Boom. Where's the gif of him with the Thug Life glasses after that? That's the only thing I can see.
Yeah.
If anyone saw anything like that, at Celtic on Twitter, share it to me. I want to see it. But yeah, it was those are the sort of comments that you love to hear when it's your player. I can guarantee Ange has heard him say that and would have given him a kick up the arse, something chronic. Don't give them motivation. And you can guarantee if Van Bronckhorst has anything about him, he'll make sure that that's somewhere in their locker room and at their
Mm.
training center coming into the next derby.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, look, I don't think his comments were, as some have said, unclassy. I think everything he said. Well, I mean, what do you expect from a Celtic player? You're obviously gonna, as an employee of a company that you're enjoying your time there, you're going to try and big them up as much as possible. You're going to state how good your company is compared to your competitors and all that stuff. So, yeah, what would you expect him to say? Something like, "Oh yeah, Sevco, they're a very good team, and we're just lucky at the moment." So, obviously not. He's going to say how well drilled we are and how well we're doing and all of our tactics and stuff. And yeah, and everything he's speaking is just facts anyway.
If he come out and said, "We're pish, we don't know what we're doing," the manager doesn't know what he's doing, and, we just go out and just chase the ball around like a bunch of under eights, then you'd be like everyone would be like, "What is this guy on about? Get him out of the
Yeah.
club."
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. And there's been, even to a much lesser extent than that, there's been, players in the past who have said that, maybe Celtic isn't where they want to be and stuff and they want to move on and they're trying to clearly, get a position elsewhere. But I think Jagamakis' comments were extremely fair, accurate, factual, whatever adjective you want to use. They're clearly, I mean, we're top of the league, so obviously we're the best team. That's just how that goes, isn't it? If you're the worst team, you're at the bottom, and if you're the best team, you're at the top. It is working. Giacomakis is becoming more and more clinical. He's getting. We could see that where beforehand he was, he was getting chances and he just wasn't quite cutting it. They weren't quite working out. Now we're seeing absolute archetype poacher centre forward. To get the absolute, what do you call it, the full hat trick, whatever it is, the perfect hat trick, where he left, right in the head and stuff. That is a way to announce you're on form. He's undroppable at the moment for me, absolutely undroppable. And if we can just continue crossing it into good positions, he'll continue to score those types of goals.
Yeah, well, what you're saying and what he's saying, spot on. Top of the league, 3 games clear, most goals scored. So we've scored 60 goals. Rangers have scored 56. Goals against, we've had 17, which is the best defense in the league. Rangers on 22. So he's ticking the boxes on all of them. So he was spot on. It's not like he's just making things up. So yeah, it's I love it. It's good to hear. But at the same time, yeah, we'll just see how the season plays out. But yeah, he's in form. And what you said about he hasn't had the best start. No, it's a bit hard as a striker when you played at a team that got relegated, even though you're banging in goals, to then come over here and have to sit behind Kyogo, who's on absolute fire,
Yeah.
while trying to build your fitness up because you haven't had a full preseason, to then get injured, to come back, to play a few games, to get injured again, to come back, to play a few games, winter break. That's what's happened. So now he's actually getting a bunch of training together. He's fully fit. He's got a run of games and he's starting to bang goals in. He's been getting good opportunities over the last month and hasn't been taking them, enough of them. So it's good to see. And there's still been people, I've seen it on Twitter, and Twitter's an absolute cesspit. But if Giacomakis is still unfit, then I'd love to be that unfit. That's all I've got to say. I've seen those sort of comments, and I'm like, some Celtic Dars like commenting saying, "Oh, he doesn't look very fit," and like, there's a picture of him with his shirt off, with like an 8-pack and everything, just dominating life. I'm like,
Greek
come
God.
on, man! I've got the
Yeah.
old baker's dozen gut or whatever here. But yeah, like, he's just up and about. Long may it continue.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
it was good to see a perfect hat trick from a number 7 up front for us.
Yeah, look, and I'm happy to admit and state that I thought he wasn't gonna. I was skeptical of his appointment. Despite him doing well at Venlo, that was the only real season he did well at all. Beforehand, he had like maybe 10 goals a season and stuff, and it was much lesser. So I'm happy to be proven wrong, and it appears that this may be the beginning of me being proven wrong, and I'm very happy that that's been happening. And correct me if I'm also wrong, but I believe there was another number 7 who had a very poor 6 months when he came to Celtic, and then came on to be the King of Kings. So yeah,
Also come from
hopefully,
that same
touch
league.
wood. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Touch wood that he's, we'll see. I'm not saying he'll be as good, but if he's half as good, he'll be a fantastic player.
The scary thing with Giakoumakis, right, is you look at the size of him, and he comes in, and yeah, you said he's only had one good season before this, but look at the size of the
Mm.
guy, and he's played as a winger his whole career until last year,
Yeah, right. There you go.
and he finally plays as a centre forward, and he leading scorer in the Eredivisie, and now you look at what he's doing, and I was like, okay, good to sign him, but I didn't think he'd take the number 7. No chance. And then he gets it, and
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, he's got a bit of moxie about him. Okay. I was like,
it
this
was
is
quite
either gonna
ballsy.
go really well or it's gonna be another Miku. And I'm happy with
Yeah,
how it's going. And strangely,
yeah.
the doctor here is like, the fact that he claimed the number 7 tells you something about GG's attitude.
Certainly
Exactly. He's
does.
not afraid.
Long may it continue.
Yep, exactly. So we've got some more good news. Oli Bolingoli. Pew, see
Left
you
the
later
building.
to Russia. To behind enemy lines, John. He's off to like I think it's UFA or
UFA,
UFA
yeah. UFA,
on
yeah.
loan to the end of the season. Apparently, there's an option to buy. Hopefully, he goes well there, and we can get rid of him permanently in the summer. That's the way I look at it. He's not playing for us now. Free up some wages. I'd rather Taylor Scales get a bunch of opportunities. Not doing anything wrong whenever I've seen him out there. Bolingoli's not required. So strange love the doctor.
Yeah, see,
First
I've
round
seen that.
in
Yeah.
Russia. What a call.
That is, I was about to say that. That's the best comment so far, I
Yeah.
think. That
So
will sum
what's
up
your
World
take,
War
John?
Three. Um, my take is that was needed a long time ago to get him out. I think you said that we've discussed this before with Bolingoli, and maybe he suits Ange's system and the type of player that he is and stuff. It, there's obviously a reason why Ange's never really given him much of a chance. I think the guy's biggest problem was his attitude, and we know that from what happened during the COVID season. And clearly, if he's not been started, and we're putting Juranovic out there and having Ralston on the right and stuff, there's clearly a reason why I put that down to attitude. I think, I mean, even look, the Russian league's not a mugs league, but I think UEFA, however you say it, is probably his standard. I think he'll just disappear into obscurity. And hopefully that's the end of Bolly. I don't know what his contract situation is at Celtic, but hopefully that becomes a permanent deal and he can just disappear. We can be done with him.
He signed a 4-year deal, so this would be it'd be a year left this summer.
Which is disappointing. I want rid of him. And again, like when he started out, a lot of my family members and stuff, cousins, were saying that he was pants and stuff, and we needed to get rid of him, and disliked him immediately after 3-4 games. And I would say, hey, give the guy a chance. He's only just started a Celtic. He needs to settle in and stuff. Unfortunately, he never really got any better. The guy could run, but he could just run at nothing. He'd run into players. He couldn't pass it. He couldn't cross it. He could do nothing but run forward. Why we
He's an
look?
Ollie Burke. That's what he is. He's
Oh
just an
yeah, do you
athlete,
know
not a
what?
footballer.
Absolutely, Ollie Burkers. Yeah, Christ. Um, there is what, to the extent that when Sevco fans say, "Hey, when he played against us, he was pants." Ha ha ha! You signed him, and you obviously go, "Shut up." You just go, "What are you talking about? You don't know anything." But clearly there's a bit of truth in that. Nobody was watching Rapid Vienna, apart from Sevco fans, because they were playing against them. But yeah. So it was a very bad appointment, but Celtic have been guilty of that for a little bit, especially during the Rodgers years.
Yeah.
So glad he's off, and hopefully it's permanent.
Well, the thing is, he's going over there to a relegation battle because the team he's going to is in second last. And the thing that I want to say, where you said there's got to be something going on, probably his attitude with Ange, there's a very common theme in Australian sport. It's known as a no dickheads policy. If your attitude sucks and you're not pulling in the right direction for the team, or you're carrying on and making an issues, you're not wanted. You won't get given an opportunity. You'll be frozen out. So I can just pretty much guarantee that's what's happened. He's gone there.
Yeah,
He thinks he's he thinks he's too good for his spot in the team, and yeah, it's just not happening for him. So good riddance. Go over and play well
Absolutely.
though. So even if they don't want to buy you, or if they get relegated, they're not going to spend the money on him. But then if he's got a bunch of work where he can say, this is what he's done, this is how he's been playing, people can see him and scout him, he's in the shop window, then we can actually sell him and get some money back for him.
I'd take less than $1 million to get rid of him. I'd honestly, even if it was just we pay the rest of his contract out. I don't accept that he had any good attributes about him. I just think it was pants from the start. Because I know obviously there was an argument that because he was there, or him and Taylor were signed to replace Tierney, XYZ. I don't see his attacking attributes to be anything nearly as good as Tierney.
Yeah, just laughing at Strange Love the Doctor's comment. No dickhead's policy would ruin the UK from top down.
Yeah, cripple it to its knees. That's very true.
Well, him and Bolly have just as bad hairdos as each other when we first signed him. So there you go.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway,
Look, I don't know if that would be a possibility. Even save a bit of money to pay his contract out and use the savings, I guess. Obviously not paying him wages to buy a better player. We're obviously not going to do that anyway, whether he's on the books or not. But hopefully, look, best to him. I don't think everyone made the best decisions during COVID. We know certainly there was Celtic players that mucked up, ex-Celtic players now, but hadn't had house parties and stuff like that, and we had fucking leaders having parties and stuff. So it's unfair to say that he took all the blame during the COVID stuff and the COVID season. But you're right, his attitude was clearly poor then. It's probably not gotten any better. I wish him well, but he's just not he's not right for Celtic.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just on the weekend, Celtic versus Hibs in the league. Yeah, should be an interesting game. Hibs are in some pretty average form, to be honest with you. 1 win, 3 losses, and a draw in their last 5, but they're still in 4th spot. How the hell they have had 11 losses and they're in 4th is beyond me.
It's a bit of a weird
it's a weird
table
one
this
looking
year,
at
isn't
the
it?
league, because you got St Mirren, 7 wins, 7 losses, 12 draws, and they're in 7th. And then you've got Hibs and Dundee and Motherwell, so 4th, 5th, 6th. 9 wins, 7 draws, 11 losses. So it's all those. It's just really weird that. But anyway, I just noticed it now. But yeah, I think the game was Hibs. I think it won't be an easy game. It's at Easter Road, isn't it?
Yeah, I just looked up. Yeah, it's at Easter Road.
So it won't be an easy one. We've always had hard time going there the last 5-6 years. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think we'll get the win, but I'm thinking it'll be probably 2-0. It'll be an early goal and a late goal. I don't see us absolutely tearing them to shreds. What do you think, John?
I agree. Easter Road has always been a difficult place for us. I believe we've been doing slightly better of recent, which might show how well we're our form and stuff and Andrew's system, because it's sort of suiting that barrage of attack that Hibs tend to come out and play against Celtic, don't they? They don't sit back like other teams do. So that they want to try and take points off us if they can. I think you're absolutely right. Hibs seem to be in a bit of a dip, but it seems like the Glasgow teams and the Edinburgh teams seem to be the powerhouses this season. So they're going to want to get points. I think correct me if I'm wrong, Jared, but I don't think they're catching Hearts this season. I think they're quite far behind. I think it's like 10 points or 12 points or something, or less, maybe. I don't know, whatever. So I think it's going to be a tough game. I haven't seen. I don't remember Celtic scoring in the first sort of 15, 20 minutes. So I don't think we'll get early goals and late goals. I think we might see a couple of goals scored around about the halftime mark, maybe just before, maybe just after. So yeah, I mean, it could be 2-0. I could see it being 2-0. I think 3-1 or something like that is also pretty reasonable. I want to see Julian back playing. I really, really do. It might not be the right time with Hibs and stuff, but me personally, I'd be dropping Starfelt. I think he's too much of a liability. Screams of a Simonovic for me, and you've called him Boyata at times as well. I want Julian back in. I think Julian and Carter Vickers would be a really, really good pairing. And hopefully, if that sort of works out, then we're gonna have clean sheets again. So, let's go 3-1 for me. And I think it's all going to be. I think they're going to be scored around the halftime mark.
I can tell you when we played Julian, I think he'd played because we got Hibs on the weekend. Then next Wednesday we've got St Mirren at home. You'd play him in that game.
Probably.
Because the game the following weekend, we're playing Livingston away. And you know him on that plastic pitch at Livy.
Yeah,
you wouldn't play him in that one.
Yeah.
So you'd target him to get out there and have a run in the St Mirren game.
Totally agree. Maybe that's a better game to play him at, but he needs minutes. He needs time and stuff. So maybe he comes on.
The funny thing that you mentioned, John, is you were saying you don't see him catching Hibs. Hibs catching Hearts, I mean.
No, so I don't. Yeah,
we've got us and Rangers 3 points apart. Then there's a 20-point gap from second to third. Then there's a 9-point gap to fourth through to seventh or eighth, and it's all 3 points for all those teams. So
wow,
it's crazy how tight it is from say your Hibs and all that mark down. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that is a race. Let's be honest, because that's European football now. I mean, again, I believe I'm right here, but as of next season, you've got automatic entry Champions League for the first place. I think it's playoffs or
Champions League, non-champions are out for Champions League for the second, third, and fourth
conference
trade into one's into Europa, and the other two.
I think Europa's reserved for the winner of the Scottish Cup, and I think third and fourth is for the conference. I believe it's something like that.
That's probably what it is, yeah.
So, but regardless, there's European football to be played for the third and fourth, right? So that's a good revenue, right? That's good income for for the teams around about that level. So exactly. That is a race. That is a race for sure.
Yeah. So it's close for top half, bottom half as well after the split.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Now, went to our final thoughts here, John. So you got one ready to go, or do you want me to just rip into a couple?
Yeah, look, just after Giacomakis' comments, I'm going to butcher this, by the way, but after Giacomakis' comments, I found somebody posted something on the Sydney City CFC chat, and it says, Glasgow's Gaelic name for Glasgow, or Glasgow, I don't know how you say it, means green glen. So no matter what, everybody, Glasgow is always green. There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Don't know if we have any Gaelic or Irish speakers, but that's apparently what Glasgow means. Green glen.
Happy days. That's what we like. I was just going to say, for the final thought, I think what Aberdeen have done, looking at the rest of the league, Aberdeen signing Jim Goodwin as their new manager is a good signing for them. I think he's probably been one of the same way Callum Davison was last season. It is what Jim Goodwin's been this season. He's been done a good job with St Mirren. It's good to see him make that step up in the league. So I think that's a good pickup. And then Robinson coming back up the road to take over at St Mirren. It's also a great pickup for them. Two guys who, in the future, I wouldn't be surprised to see linked to the Celtic job when Ange eventually has enough and decides it's time to go, win the Champions League. If he doesn't do it.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. So, we'll get stuck in Celtic and, hopefully we can get this win up in
do a job in Norway. Yeah,
that's the job. Get up there, get the win, keep it going, and off we go.
Fingers crossed.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.